Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. Ha ha. Well, everybody's on pins and needles. What's going to be happening with Mr. T? There are different messages from different camps, but the latest a lot of us have heard is that they got another surprise witness after the one that was on yesterday. So I've got a lot to talk about there. How you doing, Nikki? So we're going to see if we're going to be lonely tonight. Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? There, a lot of people might be on the mothership watch. You never know. People looking for the mothership, the bright, shiny things the Pentagon's going to send us to distract us. How you doing, Sandy? Let's see. People rolling in. B-Dog, Conservative Patriot. Wanda, Bubba, Simpson. How y'all, Sharon? So there really isn't anything concrete, but there were statements put out concerning how this would actually, if it were to happen, how it would supposedly go down. Hi, Mike and B-Dog. Ronald, how you doing? Hi, Mary. So that's good. Everybody's coming in. So this, I don't know who this surprise witness is. Maybe it's a friend of the Wiccan Witch that's got a spell they can tell everybody about that will help help justice make their mind up. Melinda, how are you? Georgia, hi, honey. Georgia's here. William. Wanda's looking for the mothership. The Pentagon wouldn't lie, would they? I'm going to put that up. Let's see. I'm going to put that up there, Wanda, because that's my thoughts exactly. That's my thoughts. I might as well, while people are filing in. Nikki put up a post from General Flynn, and he's repeating what he had mentioned in a post for a while back, where he said, "Don't be distracted by bright, shiny things." But now he's repeated it and added some things to it. And he could be talking about not just this posturing by the DA's office, But anyway, we got Lieutenant General retired Michael Flynn says, this is on Nikki's community page, stay focused and pray. The bigger message here is not to get distracted by the recent New York DA's action against Trump. They are masters at deception, projection, and propaganda. That's the first part of it. Just remember those terms. And he talks about other terms we've talked about in the past. If we look at this new shiny object, we lose sight of the truth behind J, and then the number is 6. Hunter's LAP top, right? The border, the rise of fentanyl passing away, the destruction of the economy. How horrible our education system has become, a completely broken foreign policy, and an out-of-control federal bureaucracy, etc., etc. It's called fifth-generation warfare. And as I've said many times over the past year, we are at WAR. So let me just see who's coming in. If I miss people, I try to get the first dozen folks, but I got to keep rolling with reading and stuff. So if I miss anybody, forgive me. Hi, Wolfpack Highway Trillium, Debbie. So that's good. We got everybody coming in. Sandy, so how many of y'all looking up in the sky for the mothership? And don't forget the Dandelion drone probe that's going to get sent out. It's going to burst like a dandelion and all these alien probes are going to be flying through the sky. That's at least what the Pentagon says. So keep an eye on that, right? Well, Diamond Silk put out Trump attorney, and I believe that would be the fellow who testified yesterday. He said there would be quote, all out WAR if Trump is indicted. Nobody will make him cower. And then you have Ron DeSantis, who is banging his pots and pans. If you listen to his statement, everybody got on his back about yesterday. He put in some pretty good jabs that were overwhelmed by what people felt was a slight against Donald Trump. Now, I say that DeSantis is doing a WWE wrestling as far as politics are concerned. So what the heck? Let me see. I get these notices sometimes. This is a bad one about Vladimir Putin. We're going to talk about him too, and China too, because those two countries are moving on along with the rest of the countries involved in BRICS. I see what you're saying there, B-Dog. Bragg, he's been shoved into this, and Elon Musk made a very good response to a tweet. I'll get off DeSantis for a minute, but Cat Turd put out a corrupt New York City District Attorney Alvin Bragg received $1 million from Soros in his election for New York City DA. And Elon Musk said, Soros figured out a clever arbitrage opportunity. The many small political contests, such as DAs and judges, have a much higher impact per dollar spent than the big races. So it is far easier to sway the outcome. So that is what we've been discussing, infiltration from within, what Kennedy warned us in his secret society speech just prior to what happened in Dallas. So, okay, I know we got a lot of young people that know absolutely zero about JFK, zero, and what they do know of it, it was been pounded in everybody's heads for the past how many years? 60 years? That it was a you-know-what theory, not to be taken seriously. So a lot of the young people, I will say, we have a lot of young people that have their heads on right. Very impressive young people. But then you have people that are on the other side that I don't know how they're going to wake up. But we've been told the first arrest would cause a mass awakening, right? Not shock the world. When you wake people up, you don't want to throw a bucket of cold water in their face if you care about them, right? You want to nudge them, say it's time to get up. Now you might get like my mom did when I wouldn't get out of bed. You get pills bop down on top of your head and you get up. But generally speaking, you don't want to have a 150-pound German Shepherd jumping up and down their chest. You want to wake them up, and that is what's going to happen. So this may very well be the first arrest that will cause a mass awakening and show future direction. Now, I tell you, I'll come back to it in a second. When I was talking about Ron DeSantis, Russia, this is President Xi and Putin meeting. They met yesterday and they also met today. And when they parted, all right, the parting words, I'll get into their meeting in a little bit more detail, but I will give you a good idea of how they left things with each other, shaking hands. Russia and China represent the forces of good in the world. This is according to Xi. The question of who represents the forces of evil. This is the reporter talking to his comrades. Are left to the discretion of understanding listeners. Now, this is the final dialogue. My apologies. Xi said, now there are changes that haven't happened in 100 years. When we are together, we drive these changes. Putin responded, I agree. Xi said, take care, dear friend. And Putin said, have a good trip. So at the media, from the media standpoint in the East, it is a battle line between good and evil. And as far as the USA is concerned, Mr. T said, this is the final battle, right? So as far as the US is concerned, I got a notification here. Diamond Lil bought me some coffee. She got me 3 coffees. Thank you, Diamond. I'm going to make some firework noises. Pow, bang, boom, pop. Yay. I got to get a soundboard like Frank does on NPC show. Hi, Jason Schmidt. How are you? Let's see. I don't support what's happening in Ukraine, but that doesn't mean I'm going to support Russia and China. They have their own version of new NWO. We can address that, and I appreciate you coming aboard and putting your thoughts into the matter. And Honey said your mother taught you about JFK. She said everything remembered where they were and when they. That's right. I know exactly where I was when you heard the news. She had tears in her eyes. I remember my mother having her head in her hands. She had tears in her eyes when we watched the film, and I cried. I was about 12, but I felt it at a soul level. Yes, honey, that was terrible. Everybody remembers, and that was around at that time where they were when JFK was shot. And Mike says, Dad was a Marine. He used a pot of cold water to wake me up. I mean, my brothers. My dad was a Marine too. You learned how to fold those beds by folding the corners, right? Right, Mike? You had to fold those corners and tuck them in. When he came, flip up the blankets. Look, if you fold your sheets right, you better have them right too. Happy days. Yeah, I can tell you. Hi, Lanzy. Hi, Autistic. I'm trying to catch as many people as I can. Brian, how you doing? Putting on the bricks, right? That could be a Weird Al Yankovic song. Putting on the bricks. But I'm looking for the comment Jason made. Okay. No, I don't support what's happening in Ukraine either. None of us do. It's all of our treasure going over there, and unfortunately, maybe our BLOOD, as they used to say during Desert Storm in Iraq and all that endless wars we were in. And the bottom line, as far as now, Xi, he's a mystery to me as far as personality, but as far as Putin has gone for the past 10 years, he has made some very pointed comments that leave no doubt about the condemnation of some of the things that are too sensitive for me to talk about on this platform, I'll say. But I'll say human trafficking and exploiting little ones. That's been going on. It's an ancient art. And the Russian people have come, and Russian government, compared to Brezhnev and Stalin, they've come a long, long way towards having a freer society. And so, Jason, I say, keep your ear to the ground, buddy. And let me repeat what that reporter said. This is a reporter from the East. His opinion, Russia and China represent the forces of good in the world. The question of who represents the forces of evil, comrade, are left to the discretion of understanding listeners. So, in other words, get as much information as you can. See if you can get on a Telegram channel where you can get updates on what's going from their perspective. So, I like doing that, but sometimes people I get my news from end up in jail for reporting. So, not by Russians either. So anyway, Quora Digest, just before Diamond, a notification I got about Diamond Lil said Vladimir Putin today declared Russia will conduct a lightning strike. Of course, like acting like he is the only aggressor in the battle, and that he doesn't care about civilians and all that. Now, I've got buried in a lot of my information in the phone. If I trip across it, I'll read it verbatim. But the UN had a group investigate the claims of Putin being a war criminal, and they came out with a unanimous statement that there was no evidence, and it was concerning them removing children. And it was a lot of children who were in harm's way. Their parents had been taken away or worse, and they have nowhere to go. And so it was a humanitarian thing, and they're trying to paint it out. I can tell you it wasn't like the situation with the children in Haiti. A lot of the people in the chats know what I'm talking about. New people might not know. They may have heard surface things about it, but I can tell you that the situation with the Clinton Foundation, charitable foundation, what happened in Haiti, and crimes against humanity are mentioned and a matter of record, and was reported in the news that those issues that I just mentioned are part of the Inspector General report that was filed 3 or 4 years ago, and that it is part of the investigation ongoing with John Durham. Let's see. Let me see my other articles here. When I jump out of studio, if I disappear off the screen, because you guys know I got pudgy fingers, and I could end up being out of the picture for a minute. Now, Chris Christie, the one we thought was a Chinese spy balloon floating over Jersey, Chris Christie said got into a back and forth with Donna Brazile. And don't forget, Donna Brazile is married, quote, to Mayor Muriel Bowser. And she was in the news also, Muriel Bowser. I'll get into that in a second. But Chris Christie was on TV with I guess I don't know if she's the husband of the thing or what, but of the D.C. mayor, and really whopped her up about Alvin Bragg, hypocrisy on crime, and also the double standard of how he's treating Mr. T. But Muriel Bowser, if you remember, was the mayor who was agitating people to physically storm the White House, and were claiming that American citizens had the right to go into the White House lawn at the time when the St. John's Church was set on fire, the same day Trump held up the Bible in front of the St. John's Church. So, yeah, I think she was with Dr. Fauci, right? And I was thinking the way to spell Dr. Fauci's name is with a PH, because that's pronounced with an F, right? As a F, PH, AUCHI, right? Would that be right? Like that company. So we could do his name like a blend of that company and his name, because PH is a F. But anyway, he was going around DC with Muriel Bowser. And I don't know if a lot of you got to see the video of a young man on his porch. And they, I tell you, the body language cracked me up. I mean, he didn't invite him up on his porch. He didn't say, "Oh yeah, let me come down and talk with you." He stayed on his porch, looking down, and Fauci was holding on to the handrail, going to the steps. The vaccine, it saved them so many lives. And this young man was just hitting them on every point, very polite, very up to date, familiar with the situation. And when he said, when you got to buy people, you got to bribe them to take something, there's something really wrong with that. And Fauci, he didn't know what to say. And Muriel Bowser, I'm as your mayor, and I'm here to tell you, she's lucky, that was a gentleman, because, you come around talking to some people, say, "I'm here to tell you," something that's sensitive, something, and you don't expect people, and you get a knock on the door, and there's the actual garden gnome himself and her, and knowing what this young man knew. I think he comported himself very well. He could have very, very easily used strong language and told me to go down the road, but he was polite. And she's when he said, there's something wrong with that when you got to pay people to do something to try to bribe them. She said like 3 or 4 times, "You're right. There is something wrong with that. You're right." And the real kicker was how Fauci said there were 0 cases last year of the FLU, right? What a ridiculous statement. That never goes away. That's been around forever. Flu season, we've all had it for 100 years. Oh, be careful, it's flu season. People catch colds. People, I mean, what they want a land where you never get a cough, a chest cold, a sniffles, or anything like that. Oh my goodness, Jason. Yeah, I mean, I could see people wanting to do that to Fauci. Although it's awful what they did. And the more that information gets out, the better off we are collectively. And we get past the bright, shiny things. We get past that stuff, and we all start looking at, hey, maybe we all got, all of us, blue and red. We all got hoodooed, hoodooed that. Melinda said, "Now Trolley's a wart." Prototype 85. With polio, and also something else prototype. They're saying, a doctor said, "I don't know, I can't give medical advice." So what I heard, that it's AI and the last letter is D. Put S on the end of that. That you test positive for that if you've had. Then some people say it's certain lot of numbers. Hey, people got to go with what they know, go with what they have in their mind to keep themselves educated, right? So anyway, that was a awkward situation with Dr. Fauci and Muriel Bowser, but I do want people to remember that she did create an atmosphere that contributed to that church being caught on fire and bricks and bottles being thrown at within eyeshot the Attorney General of the United States at the time, which was the B-1 bomber, which would be holy cow, who I'm talking about. We've gone through so many attorney generals. William Barr, So he's the B1, and I think Durham is the B2. Okay. There you go. Georgia spelled it right. Fauci. Fauci started his career working on, yeah. See how you spell that, folks? A1DS. And that way the machine don't get me. Same with H1V. Then it looks like the HI, right? Yeah. So let's see. So keep that in mind, folks, about that. Nobody walks away from this. Okay. Nobody's going to assault the White House grounds or property in the Capitol and menace our system of government and our people, encourage people to commit acts like that. Nobody's going to get away with that. Just because time's gone by doesn't mean nothing. So now the J and the other number there is 6. Choir, they said that they took that down by accident. It was number 1 for I don't know how long, and everybody was enjoying it, sharing it, spreading it around, and it disappeared. They took it down. Well, don't you know, they put it back up and said, oh, we just made a mistake. And of course, they wanted to take it down to cool it off and think some other hit would take its place. But as they put it back up, and it's number 1 again. So if you all want to go and play that song, share it, and keep it at number 1, that's fine. But we also know what the other song is number 2, going to be number 2. And I can't say it. And, you know, if you put it in the chats, it's got to be in code. But somebody won. Okay, folks, you know it. That's the other song. That's the song. I don't write the songs. I don't sing them. I'm just talking, you know, celebrity gossip and music. So, yeah, Wanda. That's what about the boom threat in New York City? Somebody called something into the courthouse. Tennessee, how are you doing? Did I see where the Thai princess? That's right. I haven't. Oh, I thought you were giving me an update. Yeah, she's still in the coma, I believe. And the king is very angry, and you can guarantee there's going to be warrants flying out of that country. Ouchie, and certain people better not go anywhere within the grasp of the Thai law enforcement. Or military. I can tell you that. Arrested next week. Yeah, I saw that too, Diane. But I heard that it was going to happen tomorrow. We've been expecting a turn. What it usually referred to as a boomerang. Things boomerang on them. They throw out something, and just like Wile E. Coyote, they turn around and walk away, and woo, 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 whack, it flops back and hits them right in the head. So, yeah, Durham could pop up out of the bushes and say, "Aha, gotcha," or the Secret Service, who is in charge of money laundering investigations, international money laundering. So, that could happen. And who is, let's see, we got the Georgia grand jury also. I've got that somewhere in here. But Georgia is not only dealing with this grand jury. Georgia legislature bans child S3 exchanges. Okay, so there's another state. I don't know what the count is for that sort of thing, but you can't perform that in Georgia on a young person. And I can't believe that has to be passed as law. I mean, that should be automatically considered to be an offense. But the bill passed by a vote of 31 to 21 along party lines with 4 non-votes. And let me tell you, folks, if I lived in Georgia, buddy, the 21 that voted for that, I would move heaven and earth to help a candidate go against them. The 4 that did not do anything, they're out of here too. Okay, that's the way we got to play it. Just like that reporter from the Eastern Bloc said. All right. When we get down to this argument, what they do to people who are too young to know any better, don't even know their favorite color, and they're doing that kind of irreversible stuff to them. That's one side is good, one side is evil. Period. If you can't see that, there's something wrong with your brain. Okay, so that's as Reagan said, you have to paint in bright pastels, bold colors, plant your flag. Okay, and that's what people need to do. I spent a lot of time in the barrel, as they used to say. I spent my time in the barrel as far as local politics go, and state level politics, local politics. It's you got to be involved. And I tell you, as I progressed in my, I guess, career or whatever, you see a waning of interest. And I've said to anybody who listened to me tonight, even if it's one person that hadn't heard this yet, your local government runs your life. Your state legislators run your state and run your life. It's a pyramid thing. They all support each other from the ground up. All politics are local. And you start by kicking out the base stones of this pyramid of corruption. You start in your hometown. You find out who is your representative for your district on your school board, and make a change. If that person, you find out what you can about them. You find out who your member of the board of supervisors is for your district or your parish or whatever your county calls it. You know, who's your sheriff, and I'll leave that alone. I'm just saying, if we got some new people, and I appreciate my new subscribers. And if you're not subscribed, you might want to think about doing that so you can hit the notification bell, know when I go live, and be part of the conversation, make friends, whatever. So, Post Millennial put out this evening, President Trump to be indicted tomorrow, expected in New York court next week. The former president, who is currently in Florida, is expected to be formally charged tomorrow. So next week would be, I guess, a return date. And I've got the shot of what the Secret Service statement, when I get to it, I'll read it in full, but it says in part, the Secret Service suggested, okay, quote, suggested, namely, this is the way it's going to be. I said the Secret Service rules, okay, rules of the Secret Service as to who puts their hands on that man, okay. They said a virtual arrest, a virtual detention, namely, you know, you just do it over a computer and that's it. I mean, like they got a finger. What was it? I had an alert come on my phone from BBC. Honey would know what I'm talking about. The BBC, British Broadcasting System. They put out something here. Let me see. They put out something that said fingerprints and mugshot. That was 20 minutes before I went live. They posted that. Donald Trump is hunkering down Florida ahead of his widely anticipated arrest this week on charges stemming from an investigation. So they're saying that he would get fingerprints and a mugshot, but he's got the highest clearance, security clearance of any human being in the United States. And he's the most photographed person in the world. So No, there ain't going to be any business like them making him stand up and hold a card underneath his chin and all the stuff, the crazy lefties. When you see these, what are they? AI recreations, make photographs look like Trump being arrested, and artwork. People have some psycho TDS people are putting out where they want to see Trump being treated like a common criminal, and we're going to see him cry and kick, and it's going to be glorious. What the hell is wrong with these people? What are they thinking? Okay, the guy's had no wars. The guy that's gotten out of endless wars, got it where he could afford to go back and forth to work, okay, with gas prices, ran a great economy, went through every slur and twisted description of him as a person, every libel. They've attacked his children. Get on board. Get on board with what's best. If you don't want to get on board what's best for your country, what's best for your school system to get these radicals away from young people, if you can't get on board for that, get on board for yourself. I'm just talking to the sky, folks, not my dear listeners. I'm talking to the great big world. If anybody out there, that has their thumb in their mouth and kicking and crying every time something goes good for Trump, I'm talking to you, because you're not doing yourself any favors. He will prove to be this country's best friend that this country's ever had, and don't cut your nose off because you've got this ingrained hatred for the man. That's right, Diane. I heard he already filed paperwork for 24. How can they even arrest him? So I'm sure Merrick Garland is toning this business down. And I thought about it last night. I said, if they were posing like they had a squad across the street in Mar-a-Lago to go get him, and I said that the Secret Service SHOOTs first when it comes to President Trump, that people could dress up like FBI agents and come in and try to arrest him. Secret Service ain't going to allow that. So there has to be coordination. But there's two things that were said. These people are, one, stupid. And then these people are, two. Do you remember what it was? If you put these two words in and hit the search bar, stupid is one of them, you will get some posts. Put there, people are stupid, and then see what you get. The other one, let's see if anybody gets what the second one is. They said, these people are. Let me get a sip of my coffee. I'm going to mute my mic. Pardon me. I'm taking a union break coffee sip. Okay, I almost dropped my cup. Sorry about that. I'm back. Let's see. Did anybody get what it was? Who got that? I saw it flash on my screen. Boy, we got a lot of chats while I went to sip my coffee. Y'all talk about me behind my back when I was having a cup of coffee. Georgia got it. Wanda got it. Sick. Yeah. And somebody Stacey said they makes me sick. Well, you were right, Stacey. You got it. And you probably didn't even realize it. They don't follow the rules. They do whatever they want as long as it fits their agenda. It makes me sick. Let's all be sick with Stacey. It makes us sick too. I put it up there. But yes, folks, Jersey Joe got it. Tubala said corrupt. That's not a wrong statement, but it's the two things the letter says. These people are dumb, and these people are stupid, and these people are sick. Diamond Lil says Secret Service will be with him wherever they take him after arresting him, making sure the cell is big enough for a dozen agents and tea. No, they wouldn't take him. Secret Service, wherever he goes, there has to be an advanced team. Listen, that little Manhattan DA's office ain't got what it takes to get past the DA. Man, all the communications, electronic communications, banking, everything by whoever is involved with this is being very strongly looked at. Satan has infected their brains. That's right. Oh, and the other thing, I mentioned it a long time ago. I was discussing the Bible. And I pointed out something my dad told me a long time ago. I'm cheating. I have a sip while my mic's on. Dad told me a long time ago that translation, one of the earliest translations of Lucifer, also fits the word prosecutor, accuser. Satan is not only the father of lies, but he's an accuser. Okay, he's a prosecutor. So keep that's something else that jumped in my mind. Yeah, and Nikki's saying no T supporters wearing a. Can we say face diapers? Yeah, we can. Putting something on there. They're not going to be out there wearing that costume that we all were supposed to wear. But that's what they got out there. A bunch of old coots running around acting like Trump supporters, and they got diapers on the wrong end. So yeah, we can see through that. If that ain't glowy, and I was talking earlier with a friend of mine. I said, there's nothing worse than an old liberal. Man, they're set in concrete. I don't care what you tell them. But when they get to 70 some years old and they're still a Trump hating liberal, they are not paying attention. See, what I think the problem is, they were younger when Walter Cronkite was on, Ted Koppel. Okay, people like that who are bringing our news, that were credible people. I know Walter Cronkite was liberal. He even admitted it after he retired. But you wouldn't have known it watching his program. So they had a solid news source. Okay, even Peter Jennings was decent. And so they got into that habit of watching the same news. Now you got these fruitcakes like Jim Acosta, Don Lemon, and they can conflate that with actual reporters. So anyway, the stories, I decided to check the web just in case there was a breaking story I hadn't found out, and that BBC one came up about fingerprints in a mugshot. So apparently, one of the stories is that he was, quote, arrested, or the indictment unsealed, and he was processed virtually, okay, namely from Mar-a-Lago. Listen, if they can hold Senate hearings and House hearings by Zoom call, or like when Ted Cruz was questioning that FBI official, she, quote, she was on camera and saying, I don't know anybody by the name of Ray, EPPS. But anyway, you could see they took the film and blurred I showed it. Remember, some people have been with me a long time. I showed this person was with the FBI testifying virtually in the Senate. And they blurred out their Adam's apple, made it fuzzy where you couldn't see this woman had an Adam's apple like Napoleon Dynamite. So anyway, if they can do that, they can do this Candy ASS arrest virtually. If they can have Senate hearings virtually, they could do this virtually. And I think that's the story that's going out, is that's happened, and his court date will be next week, his return date. He might not even show up for that, have his attorney do it and say not guilty. My client pleads not guilty. He's not here. Okay? That can happen, especially for misdemeanors. Now, I'm waiting for clarification because I don't want to talk out of school. But I'm not talking out of school when I say we got to watch the KYLE, okay, trial
as in written, and the other half is House. We got to watch his trial because it was state charges, right? We couldn't watch certain other trials because they were in a federal courthouse. There's no cameras allowed. So there's this back and forth about what they're trying to get DJT for. They're trying to keep it, make it a long stretch, take a little tiny rubber band and pull it way out there to say it's federal. And I'm wondering if that's where they can avoid a televised trial. And they may find that they're not able to get away with that. So let's find out. Keep an eye on that. Is it going to be federal charges or state charges? That's right, Donna. Makes us furious, but the worse they get, and the more desperate and panicked they are. That's the worse they get. You can tell that they're desperate and panicked. Yeah, Bubba, I saw that. The police defunder is like seeing the light now, right? Isn't that what they said? They're seeing the light. Oh, where'd the Fetterman story go? Georgia said he's still, as far as I'm concerned, in a institutionalized setting. Involuntarily detained, I think, and the same with Mitch McConnell. They said Mitch McConnell will be placed in rehab. They didn't say he's going to rehab, physical rehab. The wording in the article said, and I read it twice, that he will be placed in rehab. So I don't know. I don't want to read too much into stuff, but anyway, the other articles were how an indictment of Trump and arrest of Trump could unfold, stuff like that, all speculation. But the statement from the Secret Service is what I'm hanging my hat on. And also that Georgia made that vote where at least we know in that state they're not going to be doing that to young people. And if there are parents that get up there and scream and yell saying it's their right to do that, those parents need to be looked at very strongly if they're going to surgically alter their children. That has to be very strongly looked at. Oh, yeah, Roy, all presidents are fingerprinted and irises scanned for security reasons. It goes more than that. I'm not going to, I know a little bit about some stuff. I don't, I'm not going to act like I'm Phil Godlewski, going to flip the switch. Just say so. I'll flip the switch. No, I'm not saying that, but I do know other things I just won't get into. But yeah, they've got a lot more going on than fingerprints and a mugshot. They don't need that. It's asinine for them to even insinuate that they have the right to do that. Oh, and then, remember last week I was talking about the El Salvador mega prison. Well, you start a fad and people jump aboard. Colombia, Mayor of Medellin, Medellin. That's the name of a big cartel from Medellin, Colombia. The mayor said his name is Daniel Quintero Calais, I believe, announced that the city council has approved the budget to build a metropolitan jail that's going to be much like the super prison in El Salvador. So, wait a minute, what did I do? Maybe Kentucky Mitch is getting his head forcibly removed from his backside. Tennessee said. Dude ain't right. Mountain Man, if Mitch McConnell broke his hip, statistics are high that most people his age usually don't make it within a year. Well, yeah, but he has got the top of the line health care. I mean, my grandma, your grandma, we get the plebe health care, PLEBE, and especially if it would have happened last year to one of our loved ones who were advanced age, what would they have done to them when they went in the hospital, right? What would they have claimed they had? They'd be on respirator before you could say Jiminy Crickets. That doesn't happen to people like Mitch McConnell. So he'll probably be all right. And yes, there's a geriatric unit in Cuba. That was another thing that made me mad last night, folks. The insinuation that they were going to take Trump to Cuba for clicks. And I won't get into that any more than I did last night. I was mad over that. Somebody, people that have military backgrounds and they get a big following. Hey, if they're helping wake people up, great. But if they start talking a bunch of garbage for clicks, that ain't so great. Oh, honey said my cousin rang for a doctor's appointment today, and she was number 100 in the phone queue. Number 100. That's as high it goes, huh? So anyway, sorry to hear that, honey. I tell you, we're hoping to wake up everybody around the world. I said the American spirit is our greatest export. I'll just go off topic from scrolling through my stories real quick just to tell you. I got in a little bit of a head bumping with a friend that was talking about this state needs to go out of the union. This state that they need to be leave the union because they'll never change. Oregon, Washington, Northern California will never change. Just let them go be their own country. And those knee-jerk solutions, I want people to think about this. The Civil War was to preserve the Union. When Lincoln was getting ready to take office in his first term, they had Fort Sumter under siege. And Lincoln said, we intend to keep every federal property that we own, period. We do not cede any property that belongs to this government. Not 1 inch of ground, not one building, nothing. And 700,000 people died during that war to keep this union preserved. So I don't care how many of them are living in Washington or Oregon or wherever. That's our country. And we're going to preserve this union. America and the American spirit and the Constitution does not need to shrink in an influence and power. It needs to grow. And so people that talk about secession or turning over a Chad or a Chaz over to some bunch of kooks, you think about just that one war. Almost 750,000 human beings lost their lives to preserve this union. And a lot of you may know descendants of people that fought in that battle. They always called it the Great War, not the Civil War, the Great War. Oh, I know how you feel, honey. Oh, who said that? They got something on their phone they're too scared to delete. They got so much stuff. Yeah, Bubba said that. I have too much Mountain Man on the phone. You're scared to delete. You can never have too much Mountain Man, Bubba. Get you one of them little digital cards at Walmart. They got them for $9.99. Get one of them pretty girls from Walmart. Show you how that it'll increase your memory and your phone, everything. Oh, your charge. Oh, okay. Yeah, they make them throwaway phones now anymore. Now they're making them where you can't fix them yourself. You can't take them to a repair shop. So I'm keeping I've got 4, at least 4 phones, cracked screen or something wrong. And I know how to take them apart and fix them. So Anyway, so we got another mega prison coming. So, oh my God, here's a story. Women need to boycott. Women need to boycott these sports. Like I was saying in another broadcast, they need to get together. Somebody comes in there to compete in your sport, and they are not as they claim. Just don't participate. Everybody go home. Trans-identified biological male wins women's cycling event in New York, towers over second and third place competitors on the podium. The enemy is laughing at humanity. You see, this person is probably 6'3", is the winner and won the cycling event in New York. But don't worry, we have Trump supporters with masks on down there protesting what's going on. Hi, Patriot Missile. How you doing? Richard Pickerel said those who create a hellhole should be forced to live in it. No, we'll create just like El Salvador and Colombia's doing. We'll give them a place to live. If you're doing things to people that are irreversible when they're underage, you belong somewhere. Okay, we can create a nice 3 hots and a cot, right? So, and this is a story that Wanda mentioned earlier. Breaking: BOMB threat called into Lower Manhattan court where Trump hearing is being held. And the question is, Antifizzle, the FEDS, is that who's there doing it? Of course it is. And there's one story here. I might have to put that up so people can read it on a picture show, but it's a group that is starting trouble, and they wrote a song, I guess in response to the choir, the J and then the 6 choir. They wrote a filthy song, and they are calling for people to be extreme in violence. So I can't really say those words of the group, but we'll get into it on another stream. So, but we know they're planning to do something. But okay, so we got Colombia is coming around. Colombia is coming around with their own mega prison. El Salvador's coming around with their own mega prison. Now, what's about this Mexican president, AMLO? He sounds like he's starting to wise up a little bit. Mexican President AMLO slams Biden over Nord Stream sabotage, defends Trump, and says that Trump's arrest is meant to keep him off the ballot. Now, this is the strongly socialist Mexican President AMLO. Do you think he's a little concerned if Mr. T comes back? He better be on the right side, because Mr. T's always spoken very nicely of him, never given him a reason, even though there's plenty of reasons. So, I forgot to put my thumbnail up. Well, I tell you what, folks, I'm mad about that. I got in a hurry tonight, and I was coming up late. I did a really good thumbnail. You guys make sure you click back and check my thumbnail after I put it up, okay? Daggone it, I thought my thumbnail was up. I was going to talk about it. But if you didn't see it, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, Wanda, in front of Mar-a-Lago, they're in Florida. You're down there in Florida. Got them things on. Patriots, you got you some weather. Bill State National, how you doing? Bring back common law courts. Well, I tell you, they've got that court system a little too puked up for me. I can't. It's not for the common man anymore. It's too complicated, and that's the way they like it, right? That's the way they like it. Anyway, there were a lot of points that Xi and Putin went over and codified in writing and had it as a deal. It's probably more than a dozen points, but I will save it for tomorrow's broadcast. Let me see what quick news I can get by that you all might want to hear. Is that this uranium-based shells that are fired from these Leopard 2 tanks, uranium core projectiles, possible use of uranium core projectiles by Kiev for Leopard 2 tanks will be considered as the use of a dirty nuclear bomb, head of the Russian delegation in the talks in Vienna on military security and arms control said. So, yeah, they claim Biden administration is going to be sending Abrams tanks, and that's one thing they said was they were not going to send any uranium core shells or armament shields to go with the Abrams tanks. So they're keeping uranium out of the picture there. And Hungary will not support any significant of Ukraine moving towards NATO. So that's another wrench in the works. And China is ready to expand cooperation with Russia in the areas of trade, investment, supply chains, mega projects, energy, high technology, and just about everything else you can think of, says Chinese President Xi Jinping. So, yeah, sounds like the talk went very well. And I'll go over the finer points. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Bill State National. Be careful that you're not going solely on Black's law library books. A lot of people get steered the wrong way with some of that stuff. Black's Law Library. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. Sandy says you're going to come back and make a nice comment about my thumbnail. Because it's what's going on, folks. What the big picture is. I mean, it's not that great of a thumbnail. I just wish I'd have put it up. Go through trouble to make it. It's got all the players, what was going on today while this business and these masked people are protesting in Mar-a-Lago and New York, and while they're calling in these BOMB threats, what was going on? You had the largest superpowers in the world meeting. You had a state stopping the abuse of little ones. You had Latin American countries coming out strong. So you're going by the 1789 Constitution. 01 versus Trump criminal family. Okay. Hi, Kirsten. How you doing? So we got somebody in there that thinks the Trumps are criminals. That's okay. Let me see what else is going on. We got 7 Biden family members have received $1 million from CHYNA, and then you also have a $900,000 payment from UKR that went directly to the big guy's bank account, and they have record of it going through Luxembourg. Money laundering. And who's in charge of money laundering? Oh, yeah, the Secret Service. So what do you think about that? Where'd he go? I got lost in the chats. 01 first. What do you think about that? about those millions of dollars going to Haley Biden, the brother James, and James has got a piece of the island that's right next to Jeffrey E.'s island, right? Ain't that something? But don't forget, they got a picture, 30-year-old picture, when Jeffrey E. stood next to Donald Trump. So that means Trump is evil, right? He did a drive-by. That's good because I'll shoot back. No problem. Come in here and say what you want. I got an answer for you. As long as you're not insulting people or got foul language. Let's see. How do we know how do we know they won't keep our real president in jail indefinitely? No, that'll never happen, Donna. No. He's not going to show up. They're going to do it virtually. I discussed that. They're going to do it over over video. He's not going to leave Mar-a-Lago, or they're not going to put their hands on him. Diane says she's been reading The Art of War. Mr. T going by The Art of War and follow the Constitution. That's exactly right. Hey, never stop an enemy when he is in the process of destroying himself. Even the liberals, all the stars, all these comedians, they're coming out with what the heck are they thinking about? They're going to guarantee Trump's win if they do this. The liberals are saying it. They're destroying themselves. And that kind of makes me think that it is a desperate move. Like Donna said earlier, it's a desperate move to stall something. And I've got a strong feeling, because who went to court today, folks? And I meant to talk about it last night, that they were supposed to go to court today, and I haven't seen any reports on it. Oh, you heard Fox Today, Bragg said no Zoom. It won't be a Zoom call. It'll be more secure than that. Yeah, Braggs might be the one in cuffs, Nikki, I hope. But anyway, who was supposed to go to court today, folks? Somebody's camp. A big shoe. Yeah, keep your friends closer, your enemies closer. So I'm just seeing if anybody gets to. So there was supposed to be a court hearing today. Now, Mr. T, I'll give it a couple more seconds, because I know there's a lag. If anybody can think of it, I'm gonna get a sip of my coffee. Thank you, Diamond. She bought me coffee tonight. I'll have a sip for you, sweetheart. Thank you. I used to have a friend, if we were going to a bar, he'd say, drink one for me. I say, well, I'm a good friend. I'm going to drink two for you. No, Simpson guest Proud Boys. Bubba said special guest. Question is, there was a court hearing today, a big deal. But nobody's reporting on it. And I didn't get a chance to check. I'll give you a hint. Didn't get a chance to check Frank's speech. Okay. Carrie Lake was supposed to have a hearing today. And I haven't heard a thing about it. But I thought this was one of the reasons they were causing this distraction. Why? I don't think Mr. T came up with a date Tuesday. Carrie Lake was supposed to go to court today, and I guess we'll find out what happened. They could be dragging their feet on that. But the reason I brought that up, one, is because it's a big deal, of course. But two, that credible verifiable discussion of phony deeds and money laundering having to do with the Sinaloa cartel. Okay? That's a matter of record. That's where some arrests might happen. Because talk about causing a mass awakening and showing a future direction. It's it's Stollen. That's the way the algorithm doesn't pick it up, but that's the way Mr. T spells it. And Nikki, I forgot to answer your question. What I thought about that two L's when he puts the word when he spells that. That's how you spell a type of German bread, Stollen. It doesn't mean what when we say it phonetically. It is the actual German bread. I don't know. I think it's a way to beat the rhythm for Mr. T, to beat the rhythm where people can repost his posts without being taken down, or it could be some other communication that. Oh, you looked it up? You did? Yeah, my mom used to make Stollen and Spätzle. Spätzle is German spaghetti. The Brunson was another test show to court's failure. That's right, Richard. What's got to present itself? Got to try every avenue of civilian law. And when they cannot, will not, or unable to function as intended to protect the Constitution, so anyway, it'd be interesting to see what happens. What happened with Carrie Lake in court today? I hadn't heard anything about it. So let me see. Paris is covered with dozens of barricades and fires. Protests are also breaking out in other French cities under the slogan, "C'est la guerre." Everybody knows what that means over in France. This is WAR, "C'est la guerre." That's the cries going up over there. They passed the reduction of the retirement age by pretty much a decree without a parliamentary vote. And people are really mad. Paris protest continues. They're demanding the resignation of the French president. So there's quite a bit of tumult going on in some key countries. And you get the French wound up. They're going to stay wound up. Ein sprechen sich durch. D-U-E. Oh, that's all right. There's different dialects and different spellings. Schwäbisch. Meine Mutter. Mr. T put out a post on Monday about Stollen. Stollen. Yeah. There was a general named Stollen. It was tiny dumplings. Oh, Lori, that's nice. My mom made like spaghetti. It was like pasta, I'll say. Thick. Go France. Oh, they will. Upper and Lower German. That's right, laughs a lot. Lower German is Schwäbisch. So anyway, let me see this other stories we got here. They announced another package of military assistance to Ukraine. The 34th package for $350 million. It will include ammunition for HIMARS and M270 rocket launchers, howitzers, as well as M2 Bradley infantry fighter vehicles, AGM-88's HARM anti-radar missiles, unmanned anti-tank missiles, and riverboats. Ain't that something? And I got a blast from the past where they detained a diplomat that was leaving Ukraine, and they had the State Bureau of Investigation Ukraine detained one of the Ukrainian diplomats while trying to take out of the country 140,000 US dollars, 68,000 euros, 12 kilograms of gold bars, and 13.8 kilograms of gold jewelry. So you have to get Red or somebody like that to do the kilogram math, but it sounds like it had a lot of cash and gold. Cam says no more. I don't know. I don't know. That'd be a landmark if anything happened to the Eiffel Tower. So, yeah, that's a little blast from the past, folks. And I told you that the UN came out with a report where they unanimously stated that Putin hadn't committed any war crimes. Well, what did the investigative committee of Russia do today? They opened a criminal case against the prosecutor and judges of the International Criminal Court, the ICC, in The Hague. Now, while on the territory of Russia, they can be detained and prosecuted. So Russia has filed its own charges against the people of the ICC who filed charges against or issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin. Huh. Ain't that something? What's that got to do? I wonder if they're going to do a copycat deal with this Bragg character. And that $1 million he got from SOROS. But they cannot be, can't be going anywhere where Russia can get their paws on them. I'll put it that way. So, as we all know, New York gathered security officials in anticipation of protests. There were 750 law enforcement for what, 12 fake Trump supporters. And this is interesting. His supporters are threatening a mass protest across the country if the Biden gang dares arrest him. What kind of crisis this can lead to can clearly be seen in the example of Pakistan, where attempts to arrest ex-premier Imran Khan, alienated from power, they're comparing it to what happened in Pakistan, which did get pretty daggone rowdy. So I don't think we're going to see that here. I think what we were talking about last night, especially Nikki was saying it, going down to Florida. Let's go down where it's sunny and nice, and do what they call it, a patriot moat, a moat around Mar-a-Lago. Ha ha ha! But then somebody was saying, and hey, you know, these people are stupid, all right? And these people are sick. They were saying, well, what if they pull the 5 in the morning or 4:30 in the morning like they did on other people, like Roger Stone? But I tell you, there ain't gonna be no sneak jump up on that compound. I can tell you that right now. If they didn't know what would happen, they know now. I'm sure they got very blunt communications from the Secret Service. Nothing unannounced that could cause the loss of life or bodily injury. In this report, the FBI 16,000 more hours on J6 investigation than the entire summer of BLM and Antifa riots. 16,000 more hours on the clock following what happened at the nation's capital than it did in the aftermath of the fiery but mostly peaceful B and then the letter L and then the letter M riots. And let's see, how many of y'all heard this about you want to learn how to launder money? You want to learn how to pay your supporters? How you want to pay off Marxist and communist supporters using taxpayers' dollars? I'll tell you how. This report right here. That's right, Lands AC. Let the D class begin. Well, here's one way you do it. Philadelphia to pay $9.25 million, and you can get the calculator, do the math, to 343 George Floyd protesters for physical and emotional injuries from where they were trying to block a highway and were removed by the police. Photo shows police arresting protesters after plaintiffs shut down Interstate 676. So you've got 343 B and then L and then M supporters are going to divvy up $9.25 million after attorney's fees, of course. And every attorney that was involved in that, I would be willing to bet, are involved in lawfare. Legal pig Latin, twisting things around, making conservatives miserable. So anyway. Let me see what's going on. Where are we at? Oh, we've been up an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, Diane says more on declassified. He didn't have a choice there, really. Now, he did veto that ESB business, that social justice garbage in the corporations, but that's going to come back and bite him. I tell you, we're finding out who's on our side and who's not, because when this gets kicked back, as when they go to override his veto, we're going to find out who's on the social justice train and who's not. And there's going to be a huge amount of pressure not to override Biden's veto if they can come close. But it takes a majority, like I think 60 senators. Let's see. I haven't been keeping up with the chats. I'm just scanning real quick. Did I miss anything? Let's see. So I said, keep going. I'm going. Let me see. Well, these chats jump around on me. Reba said, keep going, my man, too. Yeah, that's right, Karen. There will be no place for the rhinos to hide. They're all being outed, Wanda said. Yeah, because we get a couple of them slip through the cracks, and hey, sometimes when you're in battle, you get somebody that's all they do is stay hunkered down in the foxhole. And when it's all over with, they pop up their head and go, "Man, I really did good, didn't I?" No, we don't want people like that. Okay, we got to get them all out of the foxhole. Which way you gonna run? So, yeah, I don't know what that math is. 9.2 million versus how many I said, 238. It's a lot of money. Harvard Law Professor Emeritus And Get Trump author Alan Dershowitz slams Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg over a potential indictment of the former president and weighs what impact the alleged charges will have on the legal system. So this is something that's may escalate to the point where it's not something the courts can handle. In other words, it might not the civilian courts. This might get kicked over to something else. We'll see how it goes. And I know you all saw that I put it in my thumbnail. Biden eats, sleeps, and does something else. Yes, please hit the thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Oh, man, I didn't say it. The whole broadcast is a viewer-supported and creator-supported only channel. I don't get anything from the platform, any platform, so it's basically channel support from my viewers, and I do appreciate it. I got a link in the description, and I didn't talk about it. And thank you again, Diamond, for helping me out. So anyway, I was just looking through. Liberal DA fires a scathing response to the GOP. We will not be intimidated. That's another thing they were hoping for when they put out that lengthy statement saying that they would not be intimidated. Remember, they tried to get Trump for incitement over what he said during the just before the J6 event, when they edited the tape to make it sound like he was saying, go bear and fight, 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 and left out where he said, we're going to peaceably. So they tried to get him on that. And there were shadows of that yesterday when Trump put out the thing, get out and protest. And he said to protest, and they tried to turn that into that they were being intimidated. And again, they were looking for another indictment for insightful speech. So, it's walking on eggshells with them. They're stupid, but they're crafty. They're evil. And if they got judges playing along, they can carry it a pretty far way. They've carried it. Look how far they've carried it. And I think this exercise is going to contribute to a clean out. Not only we're looking at Hillary, Huma Abedin, all these old names that we know are bad, crooked people in the Senate, people, Lindsey Graham, all these people. Wait a minute. We got a judiciary we got to take care of too in 50 states. And we're going to flush them out. We don't want judges that are making rulings based on crooked charges brought about by a prosecutor that was supported and financed by Georgie Porgy Soriosio. Not just him, but any other non-governmental organization, especially that's representative of that New World Order. So let me give you a good story. Bed Crime Stories put out a post. I watch her sometimes. Update on Idaho bill to execute inmates by a squad. FIRING squad, okay? According to the Idaho Statesman newspaper, Idaho is poised to be the 5th U.S. state to approve prisoner EXECUTI, you know what I mean, by firing squad after the proposed law cleared the legislature on Monday, yesterday. So this is pretty fresh news and is now on its way to the governor's desk. Okay, House Bill 186 in Idaho, folks. And as I said, William Barr got those new methods those new methods of meting out justice on federal level approved. House Bill 186 was sponsored by Representative Bruce Skog, Republican, and Senator Doug Ricks, Republican, passed the Senate by a 24-11 vote. The bill would establish a firing squad as the state backup method for meting out the punishment other than lethal injection. So the squad, if this bill is passed, comes into play if the lethal part with it, put in your vein, is not available. But it's there for them. Pedro Starfire said, beat Buford Pusser and use the axe handle, hit the like button, walking tall. That's right, Diane. Mr. T's 10 steps ahead. Thank you, Nikki, for putting in that link for me. McConnell helped get the rhinos in. That's right. But see, like this Idaho vote, 11 of them voted not to have that backup method. Because I was watching that show I put up the other day where I said there's people getting their punishment meted out where they have been sitting on death row for 30-some years. And one of the last stories I saw, one guy, his got put off I don't know how many times because the drug company refused to supply them with the drugs that the law prescribed for carrying out the sentence. So they didn't have another method on the books. So they go another 10 years, drinking Kool-Aid and fighting over cupcakes and stuff. So anyway, the 11 that, to get them out, they got to get out. And we're going to go for what? Quick trials, okay? When there's no doubt. Quick trials. That's right, in case it is expired, B-Dog. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. It is precious. Please, folks, ruminate on things that, like I was saying, I thought about stuff we were talking about last night, brought me to bring up tonight, thinking about things that we're going through. We can see with our own eyes how we can talk to our friends in a way they'll listen to us. Don't go to things that are going to distract you, bright, shiny things, fantastic things. I was a kid. I watched Buck Rogers. I watched all kinds of stuff. I read Ray Bradbury books. How many of you remember Ray Bradbury? Science fiction. So anyway, don't go in for fantastic, what is it? Hogwarts and Harry Potter is fantasy. Okay, there witches and Wiccans and stuff like that. We're human beings, made in the likeness of God, live by the word, and thank you all for spending your precious time with me. And I was going to take Tuesdays off, but this stuff is going on, Mr. T. We got to be there for him, right? So you guys stay safe. Thank you. This is Mountain Man over and out.